Yeah. Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. um, Welcome to my presentation about yesterday. Well, actually, the optimizations you should have implemented yesterday. And then more specifically, because I guess there are all front-enders here. Who is front-ender? Depending on JavaScript also? Yeah, okay. I hope people also use Next.js or React or something in that kind of way. So it's more detailed about Next.js. Good. My name is Voncken. I'm Innovation Business Partner at Happy Horizon. And also a developer advocate because originally I've been working there now for 12 years as a developer. And I mainly do PWA, React, Next.js, and some kind of DevOps, depending on who you're asking. It's DevOps or not DevOps. And I'm one of the maintainers of Mates2Gen, which is a Magento module generator. And I'm the cycling developer. I cycled from to Berlin one time, to Paris one time, all for charity, for the Hartstichting. Behind this QR code, you can also find several links. Then, what are we going to do? What are we talking about today? Mostly performance. Everybody is like, it should be fast, but what is fast? Core Web Vitals or Lighthouse? Well, Lighthouse is not very accurate. So, to help you, give some pointers on which I hope is new for you. Are three main things. Going through just a couple of quick tricks, the bundle size challenges, in which I hope it can help you as well as it did for me. And the last one is living on the edge, because I think you could reduce your document delivery and be actually time to first byte can be optimized, even if you're hosting already in a very fast solution. One of the things which is pretty easy to do for yourselves is a little trick you can do with chat widgets, because nowadays you have the chat widgets like this one, which is the Trango chat widget, for example, but you have like Zendesk and many others. The problem with these is that it will impact your interaction to NextPaint, because they're actually listening to all the clicks on your web page, which is pretty ridiculous. And then they also have like a script which already loaded, and you can't offload it, and you have marketeers who put it in the Google Tag Manager, of course. But if you do it by yourself, you can do then more than just load it deferred. There is another way to do it. To do it only when the user actually uses it, because only 10% of the users actually uses a chat widget. The other ones will have impact on their performance. So, how you can do this is you actually create a simple button. It looks really cheesy, but the on-click just looks if the Trango widget is already loaded. If it's not loaded, it sets the React state to set load Trango widget to true. So that state you can use later on. And when it is already loaded, you're going through the trigger, which means you just launch the containers, because normally the widget already has the interaction button, but now it's my own button. So I also, when a user clicks it, it has to open up the chat widget window. That can be done very easily, but the one that's interesting is this probably not the most beautiful code you've ever seen in your life, but it's a use effect, which takes a look when the load Trango is set to true, and then it starts initiating the script. So only when the user actually clicks the button, then the script is loaded, because the script itself is already interacting with your page, and that will have impact on the interaction to next page. Very easy solution, but probably not always implemented. Then the other one, which is a quick trick, is the cookie banner. Because the cookie banner could have impact on your largest contentful paint. That's pretty strange, but yeah, the largest contentful paint element on the page can be the cookie widget. And as we all know, if you're using a third party nowadays because of the law, you probably are using like a cookie first or cookie bot or something like that. So you don't have impact on how the banner looks. But the weird thing is, the element is the biggest element on mobile. So this is a Dutch one, doesn't matter. You can measure by yourselves with tools like RunVision, which is the real user data. You can also do it with Lighthouse, but that's not the real user data. That's lab data. So there you can see that it can really impact your largest contentful paint. How does it look like that Google identifies that the element, which is the biggest on your page when you first go to it on mobile, is the cookie banner, which it shouldn't be. It can easily be fixed, because it's really, really easy. You have to just change the message. It's really weird, but if you do so, you can change it, because on the one side, it's one paragraph. Now split it into 3 paragraphs. It's no longer the largest contentful paint element. It's a little bit, probably Google's going to change their ways in a few years, but nowadays you can just change the lines and you're done. Then a bigger challenge is what not directly impacts, it impacts the user, but you can't see it visually. So the bundle size. And probably we all have been there, that we're looking at this beautiful chart, which is a lot of information, but where to start? Well, it has to start with the things that you really don't want there. So what you're going to do is think like, we got to do tree shaking. You generate an image with AI and you get this. And it says you have to shake a Polaroid picture. You never have to shake a Polaroid picture. You put it in your pocket, put it away. Then Next.js said, we optimized it for you. Woohoo, upgrade Next.js and we're done, right? Well, not totally, because you have to do several things yourselves. And the most important line here is that there are libraries who do re-exports, hundreds to thousands of re-exports of modules you use in icon libraries. Those files we re-import are barrel files. This was my first thought about barrels, cool, because I like whiskey. And then I thought like, that's probably something else, it's more like this. And then I was like, okay, I'm diving into this, and it felt like I was like in Breaking Bad. But then the main reason is, what is a barrel file? A barrel file in JavaScript is a way to group in an index and export multiple modules from a single file, which is very handy for if you're a developer and only want one import in which you can do everything. And it's centralized location. But this means that you're doing, most of the times, re-exporting. So you have an index file in which you have 3 modules you import and directly export. But the problem is, if we're all hoping that this is done by default by Next.js, but it isn't. Because what happens is you should be doing the above, but that's not good for developer experience, you could say. So what you want is the index file. So this is the difference between importing separate modules versus the barrel file. But if you're actually taking a look at the separate files and you put there a console log, I changed it to info because my compile didn't allow log. But if you're using only one, the first one is the line that I'm actually importing. But they're all in the index file, which means that I'm only using the hey. How does this look like in the front end? Well, it looks like this. That's totally shitty because all the other ones are also triggered. But the only thing displayed is the hey used. So it is in your bundle. And you think, yeah, Next.js should do this. But eventually, the first one is the one in developer mode. The second one is in your build. It's still there. Shit. They said they had tree shaking, right? Well, they didn't. Yeah, well, they do, but differently. Because it's very important to get the latest result. You have to, and in my custom, I changed the important thing is that you have to put side effects false for that specific library. And there are several libraries who doesn't have side effects false. So only when you set side effects false, even for your own project, because those three components are my components. So in my project root, I also have to say side effects false to be able to do the tree shaking. Besides that, there are up to 10,000 re-exports in their own barrel files for custom libraries. So I take a look at my own UI library, which is less files, but still 763 re-exports, which is an average of 2.6 re-exports. So yeah, there are also index files who export just one because it's easy here to skip one additional path for the developers. So many re-exports. And I had to set for that one side effects false. And I was like, okay, cool. Bundle size reduced. Cool. But something went wrong because the styling didn't work anymore. Because we're using SAS, and that didn't work. Because if you set side effects false, it cannot be properly loaded by Webpack, and you got to do something else. So I found out that you could actually give an array for the side effects, in which you can say these files have side effects. Which are my styling files mostly. In which means that you can actually apply the tree shaking correctly for your library. But it just reduced 3.1% of your bundle size. Thus the impact is pretty low, but if everybody does it, because you are using lots of third-party libraries, we probably doesn't have set side effects false, and then you have the whole package in your bundle. If everybody does it without the key, you should actually be stopping the barrel file, because it is mostly on compile that the tree shaking takes place. So you as a developer have still the big bundle. So that's why I think, in my opinion, you should stop using barrel files and just use the full path. But then you get like a big list of experts. So that's something you gotta agree on with your fellow developers. There are also like SLint plugins to actually say you're using a barrel import. That's not good. And then I start searching for, I want to do autofix, because SLint can do autofix, but this can do autofix. But I was like, okay, let's stop then, and just do it with AI, which is pretty easy. Okay. when you have no longer internet. You got to make your life easier, and with an editor like Cursor, or the difference between a Copilot is that it actually can do stuff for you. Because if you ask him to do something, you can really apply it through your code base. So then you can refactor your whole custom library, which makes it easier to do because that's the work you don't want to do by hand. So try it out if I were you, to do it for your own libraries. Because it's really easy to do, and I was like, in the time that I've been searching for an auto fix, I can fix it with AI. So why am I doing this? Then the other bundle issue is translations, which is, this is a zoom in from the other slide, in which you have like these big JSON files. But if I'm a Dutch guy and not a French guy, I only want the Dutch version. Well, there is not really a good solution. By default, it's like this. You import them all, you have them all. When you're using React Intel or Next Intel, something like that. So, well, like maybe Next Dynamic, probably. So I tried it, but you can't load JSON files with that. So then you're a little bit like, that doesn't work. And then I start Googling, and I was like, I found something, thank you. It's from 2021. But actually, it's only client-side. So it's not working for me, because it was only doing it on the client. But I also have data I have to translate on the server. So after a couple of takes, I found a Hacky method to do some kind of lazy load for JSON, which looks like this. The only difference is that there's no .json at the end. But that's not all. Because previously, it was only JSON files. Now I have additional TypeScript files. And in the TypeScript files, I'm doing a little bit crazy. Because it's not really component, and I put a property on the component with all the translations. So you can lazy load it. Then it's gone, which means there was like 230, and now it's 150. That's making a lot of difference, but you could say you only moved it. Yeah, but I'm a Dutch guy. I only need that one, not that one, not that one. And I was like, what are the results? Well, so it was 263, I said 230, but the 263, now 151. Which means those 3 files are very big in your bundle size. And more people are having this. But what if there is another solution? What do others do? And I was like, okay, let's take a look at 2 brands on the Next.js homepage, like Sonos and Nike. And they were like, oh, they are doing it with server data. Then it's not even in your bundle size. But that is not what all the tutorials or anybody is telling you, actually. But let's give it a try. Is it even better? So I moved the data to server-side, which is pretty easy. Just import them, and then you can do an async import. So with JSON files, and then make sure that first this was the enormous network payload, which was not red. It was already gray. That's why am I doing this. It became 599, which is a big difference. So I think it shouldn't even be in your bundle. But the most important thing is your data is getting bigger now. Your server data. Does it impact anything like large content for paint or EMP? I think it doesn't. But I forgot something, because the devil is in the details. I added another await after an await, which means you get a waterfall, and they are all waiting for each other. So I got to read the file. But reading the file is pretty smooth. So you have to add it to your promise all on your server side to make it faster when you have dynamic pages. So just moved it to a separate function and added to the promise all I already had. There's a little bug because I forgot to add translations to the array. And then you changed its server side because I now destroyed server side. This one, the moving it to server side, I only found that out yesterday, so that is not in production. The other one is. So I'm going to try that soon. And then living on the edge. Oh, this one has got to go fast. Reducing document delivery. This is going to be a bit more DevOpsy. So Next.js for sale. I was on Next.js with for sale, and I took a look again to one of the big brands on the homepage, Sonos, which is using Next.js with for sale. But the homepage got a slightly delay for when the document was delivered. I think this is, okay, it's below 1 second, so you could say it is fast. But everything above 200 is slow, in my opinion. So there we have the result that is delivered even when Next.js gave a cache hit. So for sale delivered it in 369 seconds, milliseconds, sorry. And probably they're using ESR. But that is just an assumption, because I don't have their code base. So that's pretty neat, because if you do it without caching, then it's getting even slower. But it could be better. And this is an example where I changed logic and changed the infrastructure, which means I got 14 milliseconds, because there is a difference. A Node application, because Sonos is delivering through a Node application their cache. Their cache is inside the Node application, will be delivered through the Node application, which gives a big delay. Here I do something differently. Here I added Fastly. Fastly is more than just a CDN. It's a cache layer. It's a proxy. You can do anything. It's more, you can say it's like a traffic manager that even can cache something. So what I did is changed, when a web request comes in, it goes to Fastly. Then based on the configuration file, it says, okay, it's cacheable, try the cache, give it back. Or it goes to for sale if it's not a cacheable route, because you have the API user when somebody logs in, that's uncacheable data. It goes up. And if Fastly doesn't have it, then it's going to retrieve it in for sale. But the difference is that Fastly can deliver it so fast, but the problem is you have to change from get static props to get server-side props. And I'm using server-side props, so I'm using page routing. You could say you should be using app routing, but then you have still a big delay. So I'm currently still believing that page routing shouldn't be get deprecated. So I changed to get server-side props. Then you have to say no more caching for sale, because static files are gone. And then I have to say to Fastly, how can you cache it? So what I did is I set cache control, and I add next tags, which is just the name I gave it, with cache tags, which are, in the case of the catalog, are the category and the products within. So then you have cache tags on your document. So Fastly can cache it. But the shitty part is that for sale is also going to cache the page. So when I destroy the cache in Fastly, it first hits the cache on the for sale, because there is cache. So what you have to do also is tell Vercel's CDN cache, which is not really the CDN cache, you can't cache it, because what you have is the real dynamic information. So I moved the full page cache from Vercel to Fastly. Here you can see the next tags, which are the products with an ID, so you can actually also implement flushing. But Vercel cache says miss. First time it's also always hit it. So yeah, then you have to be able to purge it. That's similarly to ESR, like you can push, you invalidate the path, but here you have to invalidate it by key. So that looks quite similar. So you can also have like Storyblock with a webhook that actually flushes the cache. And the best part, I think, is that you can also add FPC, which is for all users. So a logged-in user is the same FPC for a not logged-in user. Then you can say, yeah, you have to load pricing. That's true. And therefore, I use SWR, which I'm not going into, because we don't have any more time. But if I were you, I would take a look at this one, because in SWR, you can do data fetching, but it's more than just data fetching. In my case, I built web shops. So when you press add to cart, I already know which quantity is going to be added and which article number. So I can update the state. So that makes the interaction for the end user better. So I would recommend to take a look at this one, which is one of my previous talks you can find over there. I hope that gives a little insights in what I've experienced in the last few months. And I hope you've learned something about it. Any questions? Dat hoor ik niet natuurlijk, hè? What?
Did you use web workers in your experience?
Yes, yeah, one of the items was PartyTown. I've used PartyTown with web workers,
Okay.
but I didn't have any time. But you can find